How male beauty standards have changed over the last 100 years. In the 1920s, Hollywood films became very popular. They shaped the ideal form of beauty. It was believed people looked 20 pounds heavier on film. Actors were asked to slim down. Movies had men riding horses and sword fighting. They were doing many physically intense stunts. So men had to be in shape. The popularity of jazz brought the desire for luxury. Men had slicked hairstyles and clean-shaven faces. In the 1930s, Hollywood was all about muscles. Clark Gable and Charles Atlas were seen as ideal men. They had strong upper bodies, but their muscles weren't too bulky. Charles Atlas was the first fitness guru. He once weighed 97 pounds. He got tired of getting bullied all the time, so he began to work out. During the hard times, people were inspired by Atlas' story. In the 1940s, there was no time for fashion. The hair was no longer combed and fixed with gel. Elegant suits were replaced by uniforms. Many-sided people were valued. John Murray became one of the symbols of beauty. He was a writer, stuntman, sculptor, painter, and decorator. The 1950s were the era of the executive look. Men were less concerned with looking strong, but they still wanted to look big. Taller men possessed a more imposing presence. They were getting ahead as corporate executives. Suit jackets and overcoats had large boxy shoulders. They had a loose fit and a trim waist. A courageous chin became a standard of beauty. Marlon Brando became the most handsome man of the decade. He played rude but charming characters. In the 1960s, machismo went out of fashion. Many young men moved away from traditional body ideals. They expressed themselves through clothing and hairstyles. They were taking after the rock stars of the era. The trend for a less masculine look continued in the 1970s. Androgyny was huge, with stars like David Bowie. Their looks were both masculine and feminine. A thin, lanky frame became popular. However, not all men were into the idea of androgyny. Many of them sported mustaches. Hippie fashion demanded maximum naturalness. The less chemicals are applied to the body, the better. In the 1980s, there was a return to traditional values. Men with muscles were popular again. Their muscles were bulky and veiny. Bodybuilding became a popular activity. Men like Arnold Schwarzenegger became the stars. They portrayed heroes who took on any physical challenge. But there was also the rise of glam metal. It was marked by high-volume hair and lurid clothes. Hypermasculine bands dressed in a very feminine way. In the 1990s, bulk muscles fell out of fashion. The muscles desired became the biceps and abs. They were paired with some basic leg and chest definitions. The image of the perfect man was Brad Pitt in Fight Club. The grunge style came into fashion from rock music. Inner freedom had to be expressed by appearance. Young men didn't cut their hair and dressed sloppily. Since 2000, men have taken on face and body care. They began to spend time and money on personal care. In the 2010s, beards and man buns became fashionable.